Now, NBC's Yamiche Alcindor is there standing by in Wisconsin. Also with us, Symone Sanders Townsend, co-host of MSNBC's The Weekend and former chief spokesperson for VP Harris. Former Republican Congressman Charlie Dent of Pennsylvania and Democratic strategist Tara Dowdell is also with us. So, Yamiche, give us a preview of the vice president's rally there later today.
Well, as you said, good morning from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where Vice President Harris is set to hold her first campaign rally since launching the Harris campaign. Now, we got a preview of sort of what her messaging is going to be yesterday because she went and visited Wilmington, Delaware. I was there with her as she was talking to campaign staffers, and I will say a couple of other supporters who made it into the room. She was talking about the fact that she believes she will earn this nomination through the proper procedures with the Democratic Party. She also previewed her messaging against former President Donald Trump. I want you to take a listen to what she said.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who ripped off consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And there you have it. I should also note that she began those remarks by praising President Biden, and he was on a call. He was not there in person because he's still isolating with his COVID diagnosis. But he said, "I love you, kid." And she said, I'm proud to be here, proud to be on this ticket, proud to be what will be. She's going to be the likely nominee here, the favored nominee here. Our reporting at NBC is that she has clinched the majority of the delegates, but she hasn't become the official presumptive nominee yet. But that being said, the energy, you can just feel it. The campaign has already told that they have raised more than $100 million since she launched her campaign. And a number of supporters told me that they really feel like now Democrats can get back in this fight, talk about the fact that she's someone who can really prosecute this case against Donald Trump, Anna.
And you have some new reporting on the ongoing Veep stakes. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. Well, this is going to have to happen really quickly here. But what we can say is that my sources, as well as the sources of Monica Alba, our colleague, but they're telling us there's a list that's already in some ways forming here. And Forces Familiar tell us that these are the people that have already been asked for vetting materials to be a potential running mate for Vice President Harris. Here we have a list here. It's Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, Josh Shapiro, Governor of Pennsylvania. We also have Senator Mark Kelly on that list of Arizona. We also have Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, and Tim Walz of Governor of Minnesota. All their possible names that we're hearing here are Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, as well as Biden-Harris, well, now the Harris campaign co-chair Cedric Richmond. So it's very interesting to see that list coming together. We're told that it's going to likely be someone chosen in this month, in the next few weeks, I should say, in August, rather. So the idea here is that Vice President Harris is going to be looking for someone who can really echo her messaging, who could really be a partner in this fight, is what I'm being told, but also someone who can, in some ways, really take the message and travel around the country, as of course Democrats are in some ways making up for lost ground, given the fact that she is likely going to become the nominee and have a really short period here before the November election, Anna.
Yamiche, thank you. Symone, based on your knowledge of Harris, what will she be looking for in a running mate?
Look, I think what's going to be important to the vice president is having someone to fill the role that she herself filled for and still currently fills for President Biden. You know, I have heard her describe just her relationship with the president as someone that she respects. She gives him candid and honest feedback, and that is something that she herself is also going to want. There is a campaign and political piece of this as well, but you do not pick a running mate just based on what you can, what that person can potentially do for you in a general election. I mean, look at the Trump campaign. Ask Donald Trump how he's feeling about J.D. Vance this morning. And so a running mate pick is more so about the governing piece of this and what happens after Election Day if a team is selected, even more so than it is about what happens for the next 100 or so days. So I think that would definitely be top of mind for them, and somebody she wants to talk to and spend a lot of time with, because that is, in fact, the role.
Congressman, there are a lot of potential names that are floating around out there, and Yamiche just walked us through some of them. We know former Attorney General Eric Holder is going to be leading the vetting process here. Of those that have been mentioned, who stands out most to you?
Well, I have to say Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, because the Democrats, Kamala Harris, she must win Pennsylvania. Of all these swing states, that's number one, and Shapiro would add a lot of heft to the ticket in Pennsylvania. And we don't know how Kamala Harris is going to play in all these swing states. Certainly, she's brought a jolt of energy and enthusiasm and money to the campaign since Biden's campaign had imploded and lack of enthusiasm. But she still needs to win Pennsylvania, and Kamala doesn't have strong ties to the state. So I think Shapiro is probably in the primary position right now.
So there's obviously Pennsylvania. There are swing states of Michigan as well. And you have Gretchen Whitmer there. There's Arizona. Congressman Mark Kelly's been mentioned there. Tara, as you look at the picture, who do you think would help her most and the Democratic ticket most?
The great news is that all of the people that she's looking at and considering based on the reporting are people who would help her. They're all in key states. They're all popular in key states. So I think every one of them brings something to the table. Certainly Josh Shapiro, the point that Simone Sanders made earlier, that you're looking for someone with whom you have some degree of chemistry, who you want to talk to every day. I think he brings that to the table. So I think he's a strong contender. Also, I don't know if people have been watching him on the trail.